Begin. Right, good morning and welcome to day 2, Tuesday, 22nd of October, week 27, day 2, that sort of thing. So it's Tuesday, so I'm uploading 2 videos today, mostly because I was too tired last night to upload it, load yesterday's video. So bonus, anybody that's subscribing gets 2 notifications today, which can only be good. So I've managed 2 days in a row. Oh, last week was so busy. Not in a bad way, it was very social and, you know, got to do some interesting stuff, which is the point of Urban Agoge, you know. The going out for a walk every day thing is in the absence of doing anything more interesting that day. So if you didn't get to go out for a walk, or you didn't get to do any exercise, but you went and did something interesting, then cool, mission accomplished. You know, I remember reading the SAS survival manual years ago, and one of the key things, one thing that stayed with me all the time, is that you should be improving your life by a tiny amount every single day. Even if it's only making your place tidier, getting your laundry done, you know, these are all gifts for when you have time and you want to do something more interesting. You get them done ahead of time and then you can thank previous you. So previous you is someone that, say, puts the washing machine on or hangs out the laundry or does the washing up on a day when you're busy and you're not able to do anything interesting, and then when you do have time it's not eaten up by a lot of quite meaningless things. Yeah. There are people over there. I'm not frightened of meeting people. I just don't want to stop my stream of thought. I want people to be made uncomfortable by me recording. Big bark tap. Ooh. So yeah, that's the important thing. It's still very muddy, even though it hasn't really rained. I'm hoping the rain will stay off for a few days. Ooh. So, improve your life. Make sure that it's actually a better situation than the one that you found yourself in at the beginning of the day. Even if that's only making your bed, drinking a glass of water, thinking about what food you eat, which I've got to get back into, because I have really let it slide for a couple of months. But just that impetus, you know, I've got things done. I've done interesting stuff. So yeah, the other thing I started to talk about yesterday but miserably failed to conclude was I wanted to talk about, you know, my work hours situation. So I'm working a lot more hours now. I'm working an extra 8 hours a week. So I was working usually about 35 hours a week, and now that's gone up to about 44 hours a week. So yeah, it's about 43, 44 hours. So what that means is it feels like I've got considerably less time, and I sleep longer after a long shift. Hence it's about 11 o'clock in the morning rather than 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning when I'm out recording this, which means there are going to be more people around. But in connection with that, that's not an excuse where I say, oh, I haven't produced stuff because I've been working more hours. It's taken me a little while to get used to the new shift pattern, which seems to be pretty permanent. I don't see that changing anytime soon. In fact, it could increase as we get closer to Christmas. But yeah, so I visualized, you know, what it might be like to have a bit more money, you know, as a result of getting more hours, because I was a bit concerned about the hours. And hey presto, it's happened. So make of that what you will. Possibly just the, you know, the thinking about it and thinking, how would I be slightly better off? Because I'm getting on for, you know, on for like £50 better off a week. So that's £200 a month. So I've got to think of something really sensible to do with that. At the moment, it's probably getting out of debt in the next 12 months rather than in the next 36 months. So yeah, so I'm easing off my acquisitiveness as far as technology goes. So I'm going to stick with this rig. Hopefully it's all recording correctly today. I'm not recording in 2-minute chunks. I'm not recording in without sound like it did yesterday, but that's why we've got the handy dandy voice recorder attached to the rig. I always get 2 sound tracks, which means that if one of them fails, then the other one can carry on. So yeah, so the editing today should be a lot easier. It's very important that you learn the settings on a camera and get them set up right. So that's one of the things, you know, sort of like, you know, at the beginning of Urban Agoge, I was reasoning, what could I do with? Being a person on a minimum wage, more money was a big thing, and now I've got more money. So right, so the next, the river's a bit calmer today. So the next thing to move on is, if I've got an extra £200 a month, that means over a year I could pay £2,000 or £2,400 off my bank loan, and my bank loan is £2,400. So yeah, I needed that in order to move and buy all the stuff I needed from going from a furnished place to an unfurnished place. And I bought myself some toys because it was very stressful moving, so I treated myself to some new technology and bits and bobs, which I shouldn't have really done, but that's debt for you. So if I could get hold of that, if I could do that, then a year from now, instead of being £200 a month better off, I would be nearly £300 a month better off. So yeah, so if I can live on the same low budget, you know, and reduce my extraneous expenditure and not buy anything that I don't need, I should be able to get out of debt amazingly quick. So yeah, that's my plan. Get out of debt and stay out, because I was out of debt for a while. And then I got back in because I'm weak-willed, but not anymore. So yeah, so certain things have been achieved. I've got more direction. And when I wrote down in my diary, it was like, you know, get out of debt, get a nicer, better put together house around me, organise all my stuff, and I feel I'm on track for that. And I'm fitter, and I'm getting out for walks and stuff every day, and I'm trying to produce a video every day. So yes. Oh, also got a few ideas for some, there we go, a few ideas for some other projected video projects which I can easily achieve. But yeah, it's all shaping up. So things are being achieved, is what I'm trying to say. You know, visualization works. Working harder to stay in contact with my friends. Just trying to get myself a bit more organized. So I've got plans. Plans are good. It's good to have plans. Plans give you a dose of oxytocin. Your brain doesn't know the difference between a plan and success, and I think that's a problem. You know, planning to do something gives you the same buzz as actually doing something. So it's easy to idly plan to do things and not actually achieve them. So yeah, so everything's going kind of cool. I've just got to maintain my willpower, and that's everything really. Yeah, so that's me, you know, very insular look at it. It's getting it sorted. Externally, the world's going to crap. I don't understand why there isn't one political party, you know, one group of people that isn't just going, no, this needs to be fixed, this is ridiculous. And there does seem to be some movement towards that. But, yeah. But yeah, I'm just wondering whether Extinction Rebellion couldn't do with, you know, replacing the government. Wouldn't that be cool? Just sort of saying, you know, anybody that actively wants to be an MP, you know, that has worked for it and that's all they did, they studied politics at Oxford and stuff like that. Anybody who wants to do that shit, you know, you probably shouldn't be an MP. You know, the Greeks had it as it was like a form of jury service. But even then the Greeks were, you know, manipulating the masses in order to become richer for themselves. It's a human goal. Yeah. So I think XR could theoretically field some politicians at the next general election. I don't know. Or the one after that. Maybe it needs some planning. You know. Maybe we could get some volunteers to stand up and decide. You know, that this isn't good enough. So yeah, you be the judge. Our lines are open. And I was having a very weird conversation with Chipko the other night, and he said, "Describe yourself." And the only two words I could come up with was amazed and confused. You know, how come until all this time has passed in humanity's development have we still not got it right? You know, we should be ashamed daily. The number of children dying from preventable diseases and, you know, hunger, you know, should be read out. The worldwide figure for dead children today is, and we could have stopped it, and we didn't. And I think if you're in charge of a country that could do something about it, that should be your burden and your shame. That there were children in the world that went without education, shelter, clothing, food, medicine, water. You know, there should be a basic guarantee of life. And that really wouldn't cost very much. And it is a shame. It's a shame our species needs to bear that is not fixed. And the world's changing, you know. The Mayan calendar included several ages, you know, several time spans of human history of accelerating brevity. And we're currently in the age of law. Yeah, so we've come out of the age of conquest and we've come into the age of law. Now, you could be a cynical person. If you were a cynical person, you would see that the age of conquest being followed by the age of law is simply wealthy people stealing the wealth of the world and then enforcing their dominance and their ownership of it in the next age. But unfortunately for them, the new age, the one that we're dawning on, which could be deemed the age of Aquarius, which we're in at the moment, the age of communication. You know, this is all just sort of like, you know, ancient philosophy, but we're heading into the age of ethics. And doing the right thing may just trump it, may just win. Because if it doesn't, I think we're all kind of doomed. So yes, so I'm going to be doing a playthrough of Fallout, and I'm going to try and play Fallout as ethically as possible and play it on a settlement basis. So, and I'll have a fundraiser for Extinction Rebellion. And if anybody else comes along that is more deserving of the resources, if there is a political party that just says, nope, we're going to form the ethical party, we're going to do what's right. But yeah, and it's amazing how much that new EU tax legislation is kicking through, how secretive and how destructive a few very wealthy people are prepared to be in order to get their way and maintain their grip on power. I mean, for God's sake, why? What makes someone want to be in charge? You know? What grabs someone's imagination that they want to be in charge? Not because better things can happen, but because, you know, they want better things for themselves. It's really pointless. You know? There is no, you know, there's, I mean, fair enough, I was talking about money before, but I'm talking about from a person up, you know, an individual's perspective. Yes, it would be nice to have more money. Do I want to do a job where I'm in control of other people? Not really. Being in control of other people basically just makes them try and avoid your control, and then you just get into this whole long thing. You're asking people to do shit that they don't want to do. I don't want to do that. I'm happy to do my job, and I'm happy to, you know, make sure that I'm doing that as efficiently as possible, and as efficiently as possible for me. You know, there's a lot of perks to my job. There's a lot of things that nobody cares about. There's a lot of resources I can gain from my job, in addition to money. You know, I like my job. But essentially what we've got here is a situation where people want to be in charge of people for its own sake. They just want power. And they couldn't tell you why they want that power if you held a gun to their head. You know, other than it's better to have power than not have power, which is a fallacious argument. You know, we have the technology to live the Star Trek lifestyle, and do we? Nope. You know, because we're trained from birth, we're raised in environments where the powerful get to do what they want and the people without power don't. Hence my quote about myself was amazed and confused. It does amaze me. I think it's a terrible, terrible thing. So, you know, when you observe this happening in the world, you feel a sense of shame and you can get anxious about it. But, you know, you can only affect what you can affect. You can only do what you can do, and you can only conceive of what you can conceive of. But it's important to push forward. It's important, you know, the Blake poem, a man's reach must exceed his grasp, or what's a heaven for? If you don't aspire to something worthwhile, you're just going to stagnate. And that leads to alcoholism and television addiction and, you know, generally screwing over everybody you can get to. Hence crime. I do not have, I want, but I cannot get, so I will deprive someone else of it. And the terrible thing about crime is it's always directed, or it's nearly always directed at the people around you, you know, around the criminal. You know, they're always, working class criminals steal from the working classes. What's the point in that? You know, go big or go home. You know, but that's the thing, you know, the working classes are not protected by the police. They are, you know, or the security services in whichever country you happen to be in. The working class people are penned in and monitored very closely by the police, and the wealthy and powerful can do what they want. You know, I'll give you an example. This was reported to me, I haven't seen the individual tweet, but apparently the musician James Blunt has started to push for Brexit at any cost, in a kind of get on with it kind of way. But he's one of the people that stands to benefit from lack of scrutiny about his finances. He's got offshore accounts that cannot be traced, checked, or legally tracked and taxed. He's got a vested interest. Oh, hold on a minute. Yeah, so he's got a vested interest in making sure that that legislation never sees the light of day. And it will. They're really pushing for this no-deal Brexit because they know that their money and power, their power that's provided by people with money that want to keep it, are, you know, they're under threat from people saying quite rightly, you're not paying your fair share. You know, asking a wealthy person to pay their fair share just seems really hard. And most of the laws are designed to protect them from any kind of uprising or any kind of difference of opinion or just being taxed. Yet they're the ones that bring in tax legislation to keep poor people really poor. It's estimated that somewhere between a fifth and a third of all things that would not ordinarily be taxed is hidden away. I mean, imagine an economy having a third more money from its taxation base. A third. You know, how services could be improved for ordinary people. Let's face it, they earn that money for those wealthy people. The super wealthy, you know, get profit from things. That's capitalism. They invest money because they have money into things, and it generates more money than they invest over time, whilst retaining a control over the means of production, as Marx would have put it. And that's how capitalism works. It's designed to get money off you into the hands of a few super wealthy people, and that's been going on for hundreds and hundreds of years. And they really got a spur with things like the Enclosures Act, which effectively eradicated all common land. That's why there is no common land left in the UK. So yeah, it is absolutely absurd, and that's why I'm amazed and confused. A few very, very greedy people are pulling the strings, and the rest of us that will be quite content with a good life and good prospects and a degree of comfort are literally paying for the criminal lifestyle of the wealthy. And they'll do anything, say anything, manipulate anybody. You know, even the politicians, especially in America where campaign contributions are really important. And none of the super wealthy want to do anything about that. So yeah, that's where I'm going to leave it. Hopefully this recording went well and I've got it all in one bit and the audio's good. But yeah, thanks for watching and do take care.